Before I introduce a very close personal friend and colleague of mine, I had some thoughts that I wanted to just say about what we're going to be talking about. First off, this wasn't my idea, so if anyone's looking for someone to be upset about over losing vacation days, not my fault. But the last year, I think, we had one of the most, I wasn't here for as long as many of the other Rebbeim, but as from what I've heard, it was one of the more challenging years that the yeshiva ever had. In many aspects, whether it was the demographic of what type of boys came, whether it was just the rule breaking, whether it was, everything and everything. It was a very challenging year. Nonetheless, we have probably, from the different places that I've seen, the most talented staff. From Rebbeim to Hanhala, to dorm counselors, Mamish, everybody here is a real Meiser Nefesh and phenomenal person. I just wanted to elucidate on some of the things in terms of what I hear from the boys and the intimate conversations that I have. Obviously, we all know that the Dar is very, very scary outside of the yeshiva walls. And there's a lot of challenges that take place. And unfortunately, when we were all, I'm not so old, but when we were all younger, it was a challenge to go off the derech in a certain sense. It was a challenge to not be so stark. It was a challenge to not be so religious. You had to go and search for it. Nowadays, it's found in every single person's pocket. With everything in the universe that you could possibly want, it's right in your pocket. And unfortunately, that not only covers issues that involve Inyane, Pegama Bris, and Kedusha, but it also covers a lot of things in terms of mentality, in terms of outlook on life, in terms of what these boys are envisioning, what they're getting from Hollywood, what they're getting from movies. It really, really messes with everything, their outlook on everything. And I think that from my perspective, that might have been one of the biggest challenges, because it was like talking to a brick wall in most cases. They were so, I would say, shakua in the tumah of the outside world, of the social media, of the movies, of what the world is saying is emes, that it really put a big stumbling block. And it also is, in terms of the mental health aspect, causes many, many challenges in terms of anxiety and depression. I'm sure there's numerous other ones that every person here can add on. As well as, unfortunately, there was a lot of cases of, I don't know where this video is going, but there was a lot of cases of abuse that I was told. The numbers were very, unfortunately, high. I wouldn't say it's a massive percentage, but it was enough that it wasn't one or two. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I want to just say what's happening. And so I want to introduce sexual abuse. It was a larger number than I think most of us would like to admit.
In the yeshiva or before the yeshiva?
Before the yeshiva. In the yeshiva, it's a little bit harder to say. I know that there were some things that were happening here between boys. I don't really want to talk about it so much, and anyone wants to talk about it with me personally, we can talk about it privately. But it's what's happening in the world, unfortunately. So I would like to introduce somebody who I admire very much, somebody who I've learned a tremendous amount of information from, about counseling, about life, about helping people, and someone who is basically probably the expert on Inyane Kedusha, in terms of bris, in terms of marriage, in terms of like that. He's mamish been helping people for years and years and years. Also a tremendous Talmid Chacham. I didn't know he would be coming until I found out, and then I got all excited. I wanted to introduce him. And somebody who I learned a tremendous amount about in terms of my practice in helping people. And I was heard that he's coming to enrich the staff so that not every case necessarily has to go to the therapist, to give more information to the staff members so that the Rebbeim could have a little bit more information. A lot of Rebbeim themselves asked me to give them different tools and techniques to be able to help boys. So I hope this helps. I haven't heard this series of classes yet, so I don't know what will be said, but I do know that Rav Yisrael is going to present some very important points in this aspect that will hopefully enlighten us and be able to help the boys more. Again, I don't know what's going to be said, but I'm very excited about it, and I think it probably has to be said, as uncomfortable as it's going to make us. And without further ado, I'd like to turn the microphone over to a very close friend of mine, Rabbi Yisrael Frenkel.
Shalom Aleichem. So it's a very big cover to be in such an amazing institution. I see that the work over here is, you're really working with the real issues that are going on with the boys and with tremendous success. So it's a big zchus to be part of such a growing kehila. My background, just to introduce myself, I spent many, many years in the yeshiva system learning to become a posek and a rav. And I have a big bikiyas in halacha. And at the same time, I spent a lot of time on the side working on the emotional world and understanding how the emotional realm of a human being and the spiritual realm of a human being go together. And I found something very fascinating that, and it's very, very evident in the shiurim that I'm going to be giving today in the next few days, that only with a combination of being both in touch with the emotional realm or the physical realm of a human being, and also the chinuch that we get from the Torah about how to deal with that, that is really the only derech for us to solve the deep problems that we're having in our dar. My Shlomo Tursky, Zechor Levracha, he said a beautiful word. He said, Shulam Musav Arza Roisha Magia Hashamayim. The word Arza means la aretz. The connotation is the ladder is not on the ground, it's towards the ground. And he was saying that every single generation, the ground gets lower. There's Yeridas Hadoros, which means now it's harder to get onto the ladder. The ladder is the Mesorah. The ladder is the Torah that we all know on the shelves, they're all connected to. But the next dar, they can't get on the ladder. And it's up to the mechanchim of the dar to make that bridge, to put that last rung in the ladder for our boys, for our children, to get on the ladder. So what I would like to ask the staff, and what I'm doing in recent times, is all of the issues that I've been dealing with for years, and I literally get the worst issues that are in Klal Yisrael. I hope there's no worse issues. That would be terrible. It already is terrible. But literally get the worst issues in Klal Yisrael. And it's my opinion that a lot of the issues come because as mechanchim, we have kelim to give our boys, and if we would know what to give our boys and what the issues were and how to deal with them, we'd have the huge staff that is here, and all of my yeshivas would be helping, as opposed to ignoring the issues and having them dealt with in some private office for a person who's hidden like me or Rabbi Becker. And it's not necessary, because all of you are here teaching Torah, and the Torah, in the end of the day, is the trufah that will solve these boys' problems. We just have to know what the issues are and put that bottom rung in it. So I'm going around to different yeshivas. I just finished teaching yeshiva in England, these topics, and I would like to ask the staff over here, the Yeridas Hadoros that you see went down one level, and the sulam, the shlav that we have to put into the sulam, what do you think the big problem is? And the most important thing, of course, is to focus on central problems. What do you think is an expression of Yerida? And what do you think is the shlav that we as mechanchim have to develop in order to give our boys hatzlacha in going on the mesorah that we're used to? So I'm opening up to the first brave person.
Technology, media.
Media. What about media?
We see the shmutz, whatever it is. I feel that the big problem is what we're looking at the abundance.
Okay, so the number one problem, what's your name?
Michael Shlomo.
Michael Shlomo? He's saying is shmutz. The boys are seeing shmutz. Okay, I think we need to magdir that problem a little bit more to understand. We can't, the first way of solving a problem is to know the problem. She'elas chacham chatzi tshuva. So we have to have a good hagdara of understanding what is the problem. So shmutz. Okay, so there's schmutz on the floor. We get a mop and we clean it up. What does it mean? What's the issue? And I don't mean to go describe the schmutz. When you clean the floor, you don't look at the dirt on the ground and see really, you just clean it. So, but we know that if it's grease, then you have to use a certain floor cleaner, right? So we have to understand what the problem is in order to know what the solution is. So let's hear some more understanding. What is the problem with the door?
Self-worth.
Self-worth. Wow, amazing. People don't think they have any value. 100%. What else?
Seeking pleasure.
Seeking pleasure. Excellent. So, just to be clear, your assumption is the actual idea of seeking pleasure is the problem, or the way they seek pleasure is the problem?
The way they seek pleasure.
Excellent. Okay, the way the boys seek pleasure, big problem. What else?
The amount of time they spend on the media. Were they wasting their time for hours and hours a day on average?
Okay, so there's two problems we're mentioning. One is they're wasting their time, which means they're not being productive. And the second thing is whatever that message is being taught to them, whatever negativity that is, it's not being taught to them for 5 minutes. It's not being taught to them for an hour. We're talking how many hours a day? How many boys in the yeshiva? We're talking about Lev hours. How many hours a day do you think our boys are on technology daily?
7 to 15. Wow. I tell boys to put screen
Yeah,
time on just so they can
I've
see
seen
it.
6 to 9. That's 15.
7 to 15.
Okay, if you spent the entire year talking to the boys, right? All the time, you couldn't have the same impact as the years that they spent watching those things. And by the way, let's say we have the years before, and we also have the rest of their life, right? You're not obviously not invested as mechanchim, just having them have a certain relationship while they're here. We want them to be dvukim b'Hashem for the rest of their life. So if we're going to leave boys in the situation where they're going to have chinuch 7 to 14 hours a day from the media, and in my opinion, the media means sitra achra, it means the worst hashpahs there are in the world, what's going to happen to the next door? Where are they going to go? Well, if we look at the chinuch, maybe we should spend some time looking at the chinuch of what they're being mischanech, because that's, in my opinion, the definition of schmutz means we have to understand what are they being taught. Because when we understand what they're being taught, then we know what to teach them. If we don't know what they're being taught, then they can't come to us for anything, because we're teaching them something they're not worried about. What they're thinking, we have to know what that is. And we have to know the impact of 14 hours or 7 hours a day of bad chinuch, what's that going to do to a person? And then, most of all, as mechanchim, we have to know the solution. Because if we don't know the solution, then why are they coming to us? Anybody have anything to add on that?
They're looking for value in the maisim. They can't find it. They're always looking for something deeper, so they end up with the face value instead of the deeper value.
I very much like what he said. They're looking for value. Why do I like what he said? Because there's a very big trap in chinuch in general, and it's actually a different lifestyle. It's a different way of holding yourself with the world. It's easy to focus on negativity. The guys are wasting their time. They don't have any value. They're looking at schmutz. And all you focus on is, let's take them out of schmutz. Let's have some kind of self-confidence, something. But we're not going anywhere specific. And the truth is that the Torah is always teaching you that the negativity is not the point. It's just a klipa. Einenu tahora. It's a block of something bigger. Like Rabbi Akiva, when he saw the Churban Abayis, he didn't see the Churban Abayis. He saw Geula. He saw a step in Geula. So it's a very important modality to realize that the truth is that this is a dar shekulo chayav v'kulo zakai. In other words, the kids nowadays, the reason why they're being given such incredible nisyonos, an expression of negativity as they are, is because inherently they're looking for something that deeper than the doros beforehand. In other words, like you said, they're looking for value. In my generation, when we learned halacha We learned halacha because that's what Hashem said, and that's what we did. And nowadays, a kid, he's going to ask you why. Why is this important? What's the meaning behind this? And not only that, you don't give him the meaning behind it, he won't do it. Because he is a Dar Shel Mashiach, and as we get closer to Geula, there's more pnimius, which is mizgala in the world, and therefore the Ta'amei Torah, Rashi says Ta'amei Torah, these boys are forcing us as educators to figure out the pnimius HaTorah. And one of the ways that it's expressed, we can look at all of the schmutz on the internet and all of the negativity and say, oh, our kids are being such schmutz. That's a superficial way of looking at it. The pnimius way of looking at it is that everybody knows that our boys are looking for a level of ahava, a level of connection that was never before desired. In other words, in my generation, how many times did the Rabbeim say nice things to you? They beat you up all the time. That's how you grew. Nowadays, every Rebbe knows you don't give a hug to your Talmud, you go him love, you're going to lose him. Right? And every kid is looking for a deeper relationship, more connection. All of the songs on the radio, all talking about love and connection. Because the world is getting closer to Tikkun, and the shorish of everything, the kruvim, the shorish of all of Avodas Hashem, is the kruvim dvukim zeh zeh. And in Golus, we were in a situation of bechina of Eved, lasos ritzono, and we weren't so much invested in making a deep relationship. And now the kid's like, I want a deep relationship with Hashem. I want a deep relationship with my friends. I want a deep relationship with my wife. And the klipa version of that is the opposite. Zelu maseh, an expression of the worst midos, of disconnect, the worst tuma, the worst shmutz there ever was, in order to bring out the kedusha. As we know, when you pull someone, you give someone a lot of negativity in a topic, that fuels, and that is the reason why they're able to get to the good topic. So if we're going to say the world is full of schmutz, we're only focusing on negativity. What we should be understanding is that these boys are looking for value. They're looking for connection. They're looking for love. And this is blocking them to the point that they're going to get it through their struggles with this topic. And this is...
you said that this generation, they want to know why. I feel the opposite. One day that they don't really care about anything. Maybe it's of the internet and media, but they don't, like, years ago, I remember guys saying, oh, why do I have to be Shomer Shabbat? Why do I have to, who says God is image? Today, God comes down to say hello. I'm sorry, I'm doing my movie now, come back later. They just don't desensitize. I don't feel that means they maybe agree with say they're looking for that relationship because they don't have a relationship. That yes, but they're saying that they're looking for the genius of Amkis of this. That I don't see.
The reason why you see them not interested, because until you speak their language, and until you give them meaning on the level they're looking for it, they will pretend you don't exist. But if you give them meaning that hits home, and when I say hit home means it's simple, it doesn't take a long time to give over, and it's deep. Deep. It hits deep inside themselves. The word pnimi is the inside. It hits the emotional realm. It hits a realm of why. What is the idea of why? Why means what's motivating me? Why am I doing this? If you ask most people, why am I doing Avodas Hashem? Why? How many people even thought that question? Most people's answers from the other Doros was because, if not, I'll get in trouble. Bottom line. If not, I'll get in trouble. In other words, a fear-based relationship. A kid nowadays says, oh, you're going to beat me up? I'm not doing it. Give me a better reason. If you give him a real reason, and at the end of the day, the real reason is what you said before. They're looking for connection. In other words, they don't feel connected to Hashem. They don't feel He's involved in their life. That when I'm putting on tefillin, it's because He loves me, He cares about me, because there's something valuable in my life, then they're not going to do it. If you give them a reason that something will be better for their life, and it's expression of love, of course they'll be interested. But they have to know it on their level. And it's a very big challenge for us as mechanchim to develop those levels of understanding because it's not natural to us. And for the kids, it is natural. And when I open up things with kids, especially in topics like Kedushas Habris, which are things that for adults hard to open up, the kids open up like that, and the things they say are deep and really meaningful, and they move very quickly because they're looking for it. So we have to have an emunah. If you believe in somebody, then you can move them. If we start off and we look at our children, they say, they're not interested in anything. They're just interested in movies, right? We've already lost them. We have to know this is a door of Mashiach, and these children will, if you let them, and you expose them, and you let them express themselves, they'll tell you Pnimius HaTorah that they understood from their own heart. They can't bring you a raya from Kisvei Ari. They can bring you a raya from their lave, and they'll know it. And the more we give them kavod, and the more we expose their own neshama that they have at Tzelem Elohim, the more that they will have the power on their own to choose and to grow. In other words, it's not our job to control people. It's our job to empower people, to show them their own pnimius. We know the Torah is mayim. Sometimes we think that if we put Torah in a person, then because of the Torah, he now is doing Ratzon Hashem. That's totally wrong. The Torah is mayim. Mayim means it waters the seed that is within a person. We have a neshama. The neshama doesn't need help to be connected to Hashem. It's the block of the goof. You water the relationship between neshama and goof to the Torah, the person on his own wants to be gedavok b'Hashem. The Torah is a facilitator, but it's not yesh me'ayin. So if we don't believe, we don't know that we have a neshama kedosha in front of us who has incredible potential, dosha kula chaya v'kula zakai, then we're not allowing ourselves to actually see this person. And emunah is a creative power. What you believe in, what happens. If you believe in your Talmidim and you know that their essence is very, very, very developed, because they're in this dar, they will show you. It'll look different. It won't look like we looked at it 20 years ago. Because the world is evolving. It's going to a place of geula. So we need new things. So we have to be on our feet and our toes and learn the new shlav. And then when we learn the new shlav, you'll see the Talmidim will eat it up like cookies.
So I'm sorry, just if you want to say it again. So you're saying that we see that the people are so desensitized today. On the other hand, you're saying that they're looking for omek really. How does that go together? Why are they so desensitized?
They're desensitized because they don't see that the things that are being taught has any value. And so it's like, what am I wasting my time for?
They're not getting explained, they're not getting omek. That means Betzim, that they more or less gave up.
Yeah, they gave up.
So you're saying Betzim, the more Amchanim from 50 years ago?
Yes, 100%. But the Amkus doesn't look like a Chaim Brisker. It looks like, why? It looks like more meaningful, more experiential. It looks like that has something to do with their insides, their development. A boy wants to know why days, if I put on tefillin, what's going to happen to me? How am I going to change? What's it going to make my life better? Show it to me. If you don't show it to me, then why am I doing it? Because it says in a book? Who cares? Now, if you said that to our generation, like, well, be courteous. What's wrong with you? Right? But it's not going to work, so they won't do it. So you can slap him and he'll go and do something else. We actually are mechuyev. The kids are mechayev us to go to a deeper place of our own avodas Hashem, and then we can reach them in that place. And we're going to be learning the topic. In my opinion, if you want to know what the Sula Mutzav Arza Rosh Magia Shamayim, or what's the first shlav, in my opinion, it's the midos of ahava. Everybody knows that Talmidim need ahava. Everybody knows that. But the sugya of ahava is a sugya amuka me'od, that the midos, the development of the ability to love and to receive love, is one that we're all working on all the time. And what does Chazal say? Chazal say, Yahavta l'recha kamocha is klal gadol b'Torah. Right? Hillel said, Ilech pirusha zil gemar. The whole Torah is about ahava. Which means that the entire lifetime, what we're doing, all of the mitzvahs and all of the Torah is just developing our kelim for ahava. The most important relationship that you have in this world, in Olam Hazeh, is a relationship between husband and wife. That's what's expressed in the Kruvim. That's what's expressed in Shir Hashirim. And we all know that the avodah that we have in our homes, in Shalom Bayis, something that takes Years. The avoda of those midos, in my opinion, after seeing the door for many, many years, that's the sulam mutzav arza, that's the key that will teach our kids to be connected back on the ladder. I know that's a large statement, and I'm going to explain it as we go. But in order to see it very powerfully, if you want to see tov, you can look at the ra. And when you see the ra, it's a reflection of what the tov is potential that we have to work on. In other words, if you see extreme ra, the only way to beat that ra is extreme tov. So if we see where our boys are holding in shmutz, we could look at it and spend a lot of time in shmutz, which is worthless, or we could understand what we need to teach our boys to combat, and if we're successful in teaching our boys these things, they'll be amazing people. So what I would like to take for a second, we all know that our boys are incredibly exposed to shmutz, but what's the problem with shmutz? What happens? What does it mean?
The eyes are the gates to the neshama.
The eyes are the gates to the neshama. And then what happens when the shmutz goes to the neshama? What changes? How do you describe it?
It affects his ability to absorb the ruchnius.
Lives in sheker. Okay. That's a problem, living in sheker. That's the only problem?
It affects his ability to absorb ruchnius, because that affects the system.
Okay, that's clear and true that it's harder to absorb ruchnius when you're... What else?
It disconnects him from his true self.
Okay, his full self, ruchnius, his full self is not expressed. That's true. Very good. It's a totzah. Totzah is feeling worthless. That's not the shorish of the problem. That's a totzah.
No respect.
What?
No respect.
To?
Himself, to others,
Excellent. Okay, so
to the environment, everything.
my point is, and I want to hit this home really strong, is that if someone was training your child to be a behemoth, teaching all midos rois, selfish, to be hurting people, to use, you'd be pretty annoyed at that person, right? And you'd say, you're making my kid an animal, right? Well, you would need to understand that the shmutz they're being exposed to, the real problem is the chinuch of how to be a person in this world that they're receiving all the hours they're receiving. It changes a person completely to the point of which the expression of it is that it makes it literally impossible with those midos to have a beautiful marriage. And I know in Lev Aaron there's a hadgasha on making a beautiful marriage. The midos that they're being taught is the hefech hagamor of the ability to connect ish v'isha, and ultimately everybody, and ultimately with Hashem, because the midos are off. And I want to explain what this means. Do you know that how much in the shmutz they're watching, the relationship to what a woman is explained to them? They view, we've talked about the sugya of shmir seinayim, right? So on a positive way, it should be that a man is capable of walking next to a woman and not going into a whole experience of his taivas, right? Well, my kesher, this is not my wife. Our boys are being taught on this kli mashkes that every single interaction with a nekeva means that you're in taiva land, because that's what happens. It's constant. It's part of life. It's just the way it is. Every single woman is an opportunity. Now, understand what that means, how they look at women now. A woman is no longer a human being. A woman is a thing, a body, an object that whatever I want to do with it is okay. And not only that, she likes it like that. It's also a toy. It's also a key to teach people to be completely selfish. People use each other. You're just here in order to make me happy. How many people like your children to be selfish? And not only selfish is like one madrega, but do you know how often in these shmutz there's literally physical and verbal abuse to women? It's like 9 out of 10. So that means, you go to Shalom Bayis classes and the husband to be sweet to your wife, love your wife, and we have 9 hours to 14 hours of teaching people that to be not only not nice to the woman, but be abusive, physically abusive. And then we expect our boys to be able to hold a marriage. Not only that, but in these things, they make a sheker, because we know the whole shmutz over there is sheker, that the woman is not either happy or doesn't have an opinion. She doesn't mind being hit. So not only do we have chinuch for our boys, we have chinuch for our girls. And our girls are taught to be abused people. 7 hours, 14 hours a day. Now how can that make a marriage?
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
That what you said right now, that's, I assume you're referring that's the pornography, but that's what they watch there on Netflix and movies doesn't necessarily have that interaction you just described.
Okay, so
I understand what you said right now is 100% emes. It gotta be the filter they're watching. But let's just say your average kid today, of the 14 hours, he's on Netflix, they're watching movies, they're watching TV shows, series. It doesn't necessarily.
okay, so let's assume, for argument's sake, that they're only watching Netflix.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily have this abuse. Okay? We'll talk about your statistics in a second.
It's a different damage.
What is the message of Netflix?
Movie that doesn't have what he's saying.
What?
Show me one movie that not.
The truth is, I don't watch Netflix, so I can't tell you. But I can tell you what the people tell me. And one of the things they told me.
That is not in the show. That the woman is a piece of garbage and the man is the piece of a God gift to mankind.
And sometimes even now the opposite. Now they're saying how
It doesn't. It is, but still, it's both better. There's no respect in the world.
Right.
They're teaching the thing that I could be, and the world is made for me. That's it. I can do anything, and nothing else matters. Every show and every TV, every movie, everything.
So let's have two conversations. Conversation number one is your mitzvah is correct. How often are our boys watching hardcore things like porn? How often?
So I did a lot of research recently, and the studies say that right now there's more porn being watched than Netflix. At the same time, there's more porn being watched than Netflix, Twitter, Amazon Prime, and YouTube put together. 30% of all usage of internet is hardcore porn. That's the numbers of the research.
And I would say
I'll just give you a concept of it. Okay, I got this off the same website that he saw. It says Pornhub, one of the leading porn sites in the world, claimed that in 2019 they had 42 billion visitors with 39 billion searches performed. Now just understand, there's 7 billion people in the world. Okay? That's 150 million a day.
How many men?
Almost 5 million an hour. And almost 80,000 a minute. Okay? That's just one site. Now, we could have a dimion that our boys, we're from boys. Our boys were brought in nice Jewish circles, of course. Our boys don't have that. But I'm sitting here, 100%. I'm sitting here on this side of the table when all the boys come talk to me, and I will tell you that's complete sheker. And it doesn't make a difference if you're in Deal, New Jersey. It doesn't make a difference if you're in Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh. It doesn't make a difference if you're in Mea Sharim. There is complete exposure. And even though we try, we filter the kosher phones, I have to tell you, not successful. And that's a nice way of saying it. So we first have to have a discussion about your first fact. Let's assume that I'm wrong, that the kids are not watching porn all 7 hours, just 1 or 2 hours. But let's think about what are the other messages they're being taught. One of my Talmidim told me a very fascinating thing. He says to me, do you know that all of the romance, all of the ahava that exists on Netflix is always niyuf? There's always adultery. Right? In other words, cheating. In other words, what's fun? What's amazing? Mayim ginuvim taku. What's boring and a ball of a chain? Marriage. That's a pretty impossible message to deal with. If your children 7 hours, how many hours? 14? Always marriage. marriage, we have to get married because society. But it's not going to be fun. Now let's just guess. Just think about 2 steps. 1, 2. What's going to happen when our boys get married like that? Halavai. There's other possibilities that are much worse. That's what they're being taught. Chinuch. 7 hours a day, 14 hours a day, and we're not saying anything. Niyuf, that's good. Marriage, bad.
What kind of riot is that? They're watching murder movies. They're not going around shooting people.
I don't know if last time you saw it in America how many people are getting killed, but
in the Bronx. You don't have your Syrian kid that takes a gun and shoots people in Ocean Park. No, not yet, not never. It doesn't happen.
Okay, so we can discuss if it's a raya.
They're watching Narshkai.
How many kids, how many parties in the Syrian community?
But they're not going around shooting.
What's your name?
Yeshivas has a title. Nobody has Syrian Torah.
Last time we've had Syrian overdoses. You've never had a kid shoot another kid.
No, of course, again, it's good addition that you have a natural title for these things, right? So a person is going to have a title for that. He's going to title you get high. So B'meila, if you're mechanech, and also if we tell the boys over here, everybody go find yourself a girl, we won't have to, it's not the hard job. They'll be the most disciplined school possible. See how everybody will come back and play. Right? Murder, you don't want to murder something. The pot also, the consequences of murder, there's tons.
That's emes. I just didn't want to say it. So 1 second. So now.
It also depends when you say. It also depends when you say what you're doing.
So 1 second. We had a conversation. Okay. In the conversation.
They break down the whole yeshiva, they break things, they steal. That's it's all bad happens. That car is driving by. It could be murder.
You made an assumption, and you said it's not a raya that this is chinuch is being taught for it to happen.
Drink. That's killing someone. That's high.
Right. So you said I see they don't apply everything they see. So who says they apply this? That's your question, right? Who says, right? I say, because they come to me in Yerushalayim all the time, and that's very important. If we want to be an emes, we have to stop lying to ourselves. We have to actually know what is going on. The most important thing you can do for your Talmidim is to listen. Let them talk to you. We come in, we say, no, this is not happening. No way, I'm not open for this. They won't talk to you. And then no one helps them. There's an entire subculture of children happening now. They're dealing with the most terrible things in the world, and we as parents do not know. You want to know why? I can't deal with that. So it's not happening. I'll give you an example, and the mechila, it's a difficult example, right? But it took me, it was ani is dazati, right? If someone in our generation, I don't know how old people are over here, but our generation would send to a girl, send me a picture of you not dressed. What would we do with that person? I would lock him up. I mean, he's an insane human being. It is maisim b'chol yom. Now, as a parent, I never heard about that. I just happened to listen to the children telling me this. I can't tell you how many bachim in normal yeshivas tell me, in between bachim and normal yeshivas and seminaries happens all the time. And the craziest thing is, the girls send back. Now, where did that come from? How did that chinuch happen? How in the world did from my generation to this generation happen? I'll tell you. Because 7 hours a day, 14 hours a day of chinuch teaches you to do insane things. And that's what they're being taught. That it's completely normal to look at a woman and say, I want to see you with no clothes on. I mean, it's normal. And it's normal for her to say yes. And we're sitting here, no. That's not happening. We're not going to discuss this. You little children deal with this yourselves. You're very immature. I'm sure you can deal with the most difficult problems in the world. We're too busy not believing it.
There's even an app of artificial intelligence to ask to how if somebody wants to see how somebody looks without. They can do it too. That's
Wonderful.
That's what they even done all.
Wonderful. My point is not to discuss the schmutz. My point is discuss the necessity of chinuch, what we're up against, what we have to teach our children. You said there's no respect. We can look at this and say we need people to have respect. How do we teach them to respect a woman? That's the noise that we should have. We don't have to spend time understanding, how does the AI work and how does this, I don't care. And I don't even know. All I know is the problem, and then immediately I go into look for the positive solution. Because that's what the kids want. They're not coming to the Rebbe and saying, please tell me more about the schmutz that I'm spending 7 hours a day in. He doesn't want to know that. What he wants to know is, okay, I'm in a bad space. Can you please tell me how do I get out of this? Can you please make me a mensch? I want to be a Tzelem Elohim, and I'm not. Can you help me?
Just a question. Can we, at least for me, I understand what you're saying about that we don't have a problem with Shalom Bayit and all that, the practical lady, but maybe the rabbis will disagree with me. Because I'm in the island of students right now, people are worried about their marriage thing, obviously we have to also, can we bring it down more to the world of how this is mashpia on them as students, as human beings, they're not respect, and obviously we'll understand from that, you have problems when they're married, but for me, at least for me, it'd be easier if we focus on the problems that we're dealing with as students, more than...
Okay, so if first of all of the students now relate to girls. Fact on the table, right? What do you think they're doing with these girls? Not what was happening 20 years ago. Not. Super, super bad things. And they're all okay with it, because that's all they know. To teach a boy that you can't hurt a girl is a chiddush. Basic feeling someone else's pain is a chiddush. It expresses itself in girls, but it'll express itself in guys too. Because you don't care about your roommate either. Now, this translates to another hugely painful topic, which Rabbi Becker brought up, which is the amount of abuse that happens that I'm dealing with in Yerushalayim, Yer HaKodesh, is insane. Because they're being taught to be abusers.
Married couples.
Children. Married couples. Young girls. Older girls. The numbers are insane. But why not? This is Chinuch 101. That's all they know. That's normal. She likes it. That's a very big problem on the Chinuch level.
So I'm sorry, although we made this, that means when we see students acting crazy, damaging things, breaking, no derech eretz, cursing in front of the rabbi, or you're saying the shorish.
Shorish is midos rote, which means it's okay to be a behemoth, it's okay to be aggressive, it's okay not to think about somebody else. That makes you, whatever word you want to use, a stud, right? That's a real man.
Okay, and what's it all coming from? From pornography?
It's a chinuch that is coming from the Satan, that the expression of it is pornography. But the Satan's job in the world is to make people be bad. So he milabish it in all kinds of taivas, but the point of all of it is to make people have bad midos. And all of this is expression of bad. The main issue with taiva is yivakesh nifrod. It means the other person is achzar. Ani zarli achshali. Lo ma'anyen oti. I think about my own self, and everybody else can go jump in the lake. That is the shorish of all of midos raos. And so if you can't feel somebody else, then there's nothing stopping you to do anything. As long as I want it, it's okay.
It's possible for a person to be born with good chunas. He's an azim nefesh. He's a good, sensitive boy, but he grew up in the world of technology, and then he becomes a vildachaya.
Totally. Just like if you teach your kids good things, they become not vildachayas. If you teach them to be vildachayas, they'll be vildachayas. Lemahadran. Why not?
Yeah, but the media it's the schmutz model system that the guy sitting 10 hours. That means
it's mechuvan. It's mechuvan in the midos of those porn You can talk about it from a pneumius way from the Satan, but it's also, it's what's tantalizing.
So the question is that if when we were kids, we were watching TV for 3 hours of film, did that same thing in just the smaller...
As an example, a sitcom in my generation, a sitcom, a half-hour show in my generation of TV, was full of putting people down. Right? It was funny to embarrass somebody, right? So that's something that was mitchalchel in our life. You know, how many people, make fun of other people and think it's a good thing, right? But that's like edelim bad midos, right? But if you take things that are more aggressive, and you see hitting somebody is like, wow, you're such a strong guy, and she's so happy now that you're so strong because you hit her, right? Or you called her all kinds of names, right? Or you're a really good guy because you use 10 girls and now you're something special because now you were mishtamish with eser chafatzim. That's going to make a different type of chinuch.
So does that have to do with the time? That means the guy sitting wasting 7 or 10 hours a day. Does that also make him?
Okay, so the wasting time. This is the deep thing. That's where I'm going to get to. Is that the reason why it's so addictive? Why are they spending so much time on it? So people think because the taiva is so strong. So I have a kind of a kasha on that. If you talk to any of the boys and you ask them, tell me something, how do you feel after you finish? Any of the Rabbeim know the answer to this? So that's kind of a weird thing to do, no? 7 hours, 14 hours, you feel horrible afterwards, do it again the next day? Really weird.
So they can't deal with the feelings of feeling their lack of self-worth. So they takes them
looking for an escape. So you're saying it's all about escape. Okay, there is a whole tfisas ha'olam like that, which is very well presented in what's called 12-step program, an addiction world, and they're saying that people avoid their pain with things, and we have to get them off to avoiding their pain. They're saying much, much deeper than that. And this is where Torah comes in. And this is
also the FOMO issue. What am I missing? What am I missing?
Okay, but they did that already, 7 hours, 14 hours,
There might be something that might actually talk to me. That might actually...
It's the opposite. The truth is the opposite, is that when they've been out so long, they've seen it already so much that they actually have to look for something more. And that's actually the way the whole system works, is it starts off more edel, and then it's like, no, that's boring already. Let's something more insane, and then more insane, and then more insane. Just like the Ramban says in Al Torah, that
they're trying to connect to this love they think is on this thing, but it's not. We have the real love, which is through the Torah. We know it Abed. They know it only fake, so they keep trying to get into that fake and getting involved in the fake.
This man is a smart man.
Fake and pose the real.
That's very smart. He said it in 5 seconds, and I'm going to explain it for a long time. That's exactly the point.
The title, showing however people do this time, even though they feel guilty.
Right. That's also a pretty strange thing. That's also a pretty strange thing. Right. So I would like to understand the reality.
People eat, people do other things, and why
Right.
they do it.
So what's the omic of that reality? So some people are very superficial. They make that a reality on its own. People do bad stuff. I'm going to tell you something which is much deeper than that. It's the omic of a lot of the Pnimis Torah speaks about this. And I want to give you a hakdama. We are all a Metzelem Elohim. What does that mean? Atzelem Elohim. Simple. It means that we are a physical expression of God. We are Hashem Katan. What we want to be in this world, what we're meant to be is, if Hashem was a Ben Adam, Eich haya nira. Which means that in the shorish of every desire that you have in this world, the reason why you want it is because that's how you're going to become like Hashem. Now this is a mind blower, which means if you look at any single taiva that a person has, if you go to the shorish, you'll find the most beautiful desires, the most godly desires there are in the whole world. Now, just to make a distinction, if a person wants to have kavod, is kavod a bad desire? So Hashem Yisbarach made the whole world for kavod. But if a guy decides, I need kavod, and the way I'm going to get him is to buy a Lamborghini and have a big house, then it's not that he's actually trying to get kavod. He decided the way to get kavod is through the Lamborghini. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the shorish of the desire, the need for kavod is a davar tov. So now, what is the shorish desire that causes all of this need to look at all this schmutz? And it's a deep question. This is a deep question, and it's sometimes, in order to have a deep answer to something, the word deep, it means you have to listen to the most panemius part of yourself. And this is one of the first things that I always do with the boys, is I tell them, okay, shh, just listen. Quiet everything. I want you to tell me, you have a desire for something with a woman. Tell me, what are you looking for? And it seems, the assumption would be they're going to tell you something about physicality. Never. They always say other things. So I'm going to open up the floor for 1 second. You see how this works. What is a man, you're all married, what are you looking for in a relationship with a woman? What is that? What's the need? That if you have it, you'll say, geschmack, I got it. And if not, wasn't positive. And if one of the ways you want to think about this is, you can think about is, what would it be for you if your wife says about you, she says, this man is, you'll feel good. And if she says, this man is, you'll feel bad. That's a simon that something is extremely important to you to get from the relationship. So what do you think a man is looking for in a relationship with a woman?
A giver. That she's a giver.
Who?
That I'm a giver, and I want her to think that she's a giver.
Number one need. We are Tzelem Elohim. Hashem created the world to give, to love. If I want to be like Hashem, I need a kli to give what I have. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world to give himself to us. What did he do? He made something called Torah. What is Torah? Anis nafshis, anoichi Hashem Elokecha. Anis nafshis ksivis yehivis. He gave us kula ela kulam kedoshim ubetocham Hashem. He put himself in us. And in order for us to experience what that looks like, he created us with a need to give ourselves. What's ourselves? Zera. The Torah is the Zera of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And every man wants to give his Zera. To who? Hashem wanted to give his Zera to Am Yisrael. And in the mashal of Ish v'Isha, Am Yisrael is the Isha, we want to embody the miros of Hashem. We have a need to give our Zera to our wife in order to have the deepest connection there is in the whole world. Hashem gives us his Zera. We are now a shtik Hashem. Kulam kedoshim b'tocham Hashem. Now we're a chelek elokam imal, because we have Dvar Hashem in us. And what happens in a good chibur between Ish v'Isha, that she becomes his. Arayat mekudeshes li. And now forever she's totally connected to him. This is the deepest desire of a man to give. We think it's just this taiva that comes inside of ourselves and needs a release and has to go out. And that's what the porn industry is teaching you. It's sheker. The reason why a boy feels bad after he's moitzi zalav atala, because he didn't get what he wanted. He's empty. And you know why he does it again? Because he still needs it. And he's not satisfied. Because no one received me. So let's do it again. Maybe next time it'll be better. 14 hours he's going to do it because he's always empty. And the reason he's empty is because, not because he's running away, because he's looking for something positive. And if he doesn't get the ability to be a giver in this world, he will keep looking for it, making himself crazy. And even if you put filters on his phone, and even if you put out the most incredible internet there is in the world that's nothing anything, he will still be empty because he's looking to give. What are the midos are there that a man wants? He wants kavod. He wants to feel successful. Do you say value? How many men in this, when you makayim the ksuba in your marriage? The ksuba, what does that mean? You mefarnes her, you give her clothing, you give her a house, you give her all the love you can give her. If you were really good at that, and she said, voila, you're the best husband, you're so sensitive, you're so caring, the things that I really need, you do an awesome job. How many people would feel accomplished? And if she says, you know what, you actually suck. If I worried about something, I'm not going to come to you. If I need clothes, if I need food, you're a shmendrik. I'm not coming to you. And if I'm scared, I'm not coming to you. How do we feel? Like we didn't live in the world, b'chal. Like Toiv meisi michayai. In other words, the deepest need of a tzelem Elohim is to accomplish on being a melech, that I'm a provider, that I'm a caring individual. And if I have these midos, then I feel like $1,000,000. Every man is looking for a woman in order to feel accomplished. He wants to give, and he wants to be good at it. And he wants to be, she looks at him and says, wow, you're an amazing person, for real. Not a Stalin way of kavod, you clap your hand until otherwise you die. Right? We're a David HaMelech type of kavod, where it's like, wow, you really care about the Am. Like we have Hashem. Hashem's looking for kavod. What does Hashem need kavod for? He wants to be received. He wants us to experience how amazing He is. So every man is looking for, be like Hashem. Wait, am I amazing? I'm actually a Tzelem Elohim. I'm actually really super developed. I have an neshama inside of me. Is it really happening? Did I really accomplish? Am I really sensitive? Am I really caring? Am I really strong? Well, we'll find out. Here's the mivchan. It's called Isha. Midas Hadin. No? How are you on the report card? Well, sometimes we go home and we mess up and we feel really bad. And sometimes we work hard and we feel really good. All of these boys are looking for that. Hayom. They want to feel good about themselves. And the first way they look to feel it is in a relationship with a woman, because that is the place where it's the most expressed, the most important. That's the most accomplishment you can have in your life. Think about it for a second. If you are a millionaire and you had big businesses and your wife thought you were a piece of garbage, how would you feel? It's an...
What is Nogea to Bahur, 13, 15, 16, 19 years old, that he doesn't have voice to give this love and whatever?
Right. So now, I'm asking you a question. If that's the shorish of the need, then why does it come when he's 13 years old?
The technology.
Until technology, no one had desire at 13 years old? Let me ask you a question. How important is a 13-year-old to be a giver? Very important, right? Can he not get that at the age of 13? He can't, right? Let's say he was fulfilled and he was a giver, he was accomplished, he was a caring individual, and everybody in the world know it. Where would you know it? With his friends, with his family, with his yeshiva, 100 different opportunities. Would he feel empty? When he feels empty, which all of our boys do, and he has no way of getting it because he thinks he can't get it, so what's he going to do? He's going to find the local expression, the most powerful expression he can think of, which is nukva, and he's going to go find it over there. And you know what? He's not going to find it because there's nothing there. But he's going to keep looking and keep looking and keep looking until we as Rabbeim teach him, you know what you're looking for? You're looking to be a Tzelem Elohim. And you can have it today. And if you get it today, you won't be so hungry. You'll be a satisfied human being. And if you don't, you're going to get Meshuggah. And not only that, you're going to do it, and you're going to become a worse person.
You can talk from here to tomorrow, but still you have the media and you have all these whatever outside the provider, and you cannot find it.
Okay, so now this is a very important point. And I want to point out how much of a belief system this is. The belief system that you're expressing nowadays says like this. This media, so powerful, so moshech. He for sure is going to win. I'm a shmendrik, I'm a little guy. There's no way for me to have koch. It's like you go to war. If Sahal would go to war and say, we don't know how to fight with the Arabs, we're so weak, we can't do it. They're going to for sure win. They'll win. If you know that that's sheker, it's efes mupas, garbage, and I know myself, that's why I feel so bad afterwards, and I want good, I can crush that thing with my bare hands. All of the media. Not a problem. Because it's true. It's emes. We make our boys weak. And we can discuss whether we should have filters or not have filters, but I'm telling you, the amount of opinions that people talk about filters all the time makes them weaker. It tells them, this is so amazing, and you're weak, and therefore we have to protect you. And it's sheker because of. That's garbage, and everybody knows it. And you are a strong person, and you can misgaber.
What would this feel about being
we do a kosher phone scheme that they give in their mobile, they give up their iPhones, whatever it is, and they get a kosher phone. And we see sometimes they're dramatic and sometimes they're small advance in the voice.
I'm not talking about whether you should do it or not. I'm talking about something deeper than that. What's the message you're giving them that has impacts them long term? If I have to be in a place where there's no filter, I am not scared at all, because I know what I want. Could you walk into a McDonald's, sit down in front of the table and not eat the cheeseburger? Why not? You know how good a cheeseburger is? I don't know, but I'm sure it's very good. I don't want it. So why can't you do that with a schmutz of a schmutz? Why not? Because you don't think it is. No, apitropas darayis means that you can't be soymech on people to when there's no one watching them. But if you decide, I don't want it, you have to fall. Every time a person is yachid with a woman, he has to fall. That's what Chazal mean. It means we shouldn't set up a situation. But if I was misyach with a woman with an eshesisha, I'd fall down. Would you? I hope not. Why not? Because why should I?
So why can't you let a situation?
What? Because you're not stupid. So you don't take risks. Because there's a risk. Why? Loyden Yisayon is in everything. You shouldn't put yourself in any Yisayonos ever. If it's not an Yisayon for you, it's not an Yisayon for you. But here, yes, what's the Nisayon? What's in the Nisayon? The Nisayon is to be confused. For the 5 seconds that the boy did it, he thought it was good. 5 seconds later, he knows it's not. That's the Nisayon. Which means that if he is in a situation which he can, like the Gemara says, Ikadak Achrina, Rasho. Lekadak Achrina, you go normally. Why? Why not? You don't put yourself in Nisyonos, but if you're in a Nisayon, why can't you beat it? Is it a Nisayon? Yes. Is it trying to fool you? Yes. But can you win? Of course you can. So that's what we need to teach our boys. Because if you tell them they can't, then they won't. And if you tell them they can, and you explain to them why, then they will. I was sitting with a boy 2 days ago. He's not even a boy, he's like 30 years old. Okay? He is one of the person who's called addicted to porn. Addicted. Okay, I sat with him 3 times. Didn't talk about porn 1 time. Talk about what he's looking for. He tells me, so I watched porn today, and I decided it's not what I want. For the next 3 days, didn't touch it. It was right there. Didn't touch it. I don't want it. That's bechira. And this is a very deep thing. I said before, the reason why the things are happening is because Hashem puts us in situations in order for kinyanim ruchanim. The dar is looking to be boichrim. A lot of the chinuch we had in the last 50 years was a chinuch of force. It was a chinuch of walls. We're not going to let anything in, and our boys are going to do what they're supposed to do because they have no choice. Atzelem Elohim is built to have free choice. It's one of the midas hamalchus. Hashem gave us bechira. I want to be like Hashem. I decide. Nowadays, you take a boy and you try to force him. The first thing you're going to get is 2 possibilities. Either he's going to throw you off the other side of the room, or he's going to die. Because every single boy right now is looking to have free choice. If we continue a system, especially in Kedushas Habris, but it's all called Torah Kula, it's not relevant only to Kedushas Habris, and all we do is control people, what will happen is they will be forced to not listen to us, in order for them to be Kona their Malchus.
Why is there such a change?
Because the world is going to more mitkadem. No, because if you want to look at everything Yitzhak Atuma, you can, but it's superficial. Everything is going to a good place. We need people. Hashem is pushing us. It used to be, you need to have Yerushalayim to be a person. Now, if you don't have Yerushalayim, you're going to have schmutz in your face. So you need to be going to the midah. I need to be a tzalem. I need to be boicher. I need to be on my own. No, I don't want this. And I have to be a built person. And the Hashgacha is pushing us to teach our boys to be built people, that they can be in Nisyonos. And you see it. There's no way out of it. Even if you have filters in yeshiva, what's going to happen when they're 20 years old? They work in wherever it is. They're not going to have filters. What's going to happen? And if they have filters, what's with all the other pizza? You know how many pizza are out there? You know how easy it is? How many boys have come to me and told me that they have with Zionus? Like this. They told me exactly how to do it. It's the easiest thing in the world. And Zionus, it's all there. If we don't teach our boys to have real Yerushalayim, which means that they really understand what they want, and understand what they don't want, they're not going to be matzliach. On purpose. Because Hashem wants us to be able to be boichrid, to be a melech, to have real connection to things, to understand why.
So their freedom of choice now, their realm of choice is completely different. I can't take a boy who's watching stuff 17, 15 hours a day and say your freedom of choice is either to watch or not to watch. He's not holding that. So my freedom of choice at that stage is whether to watch maybe 10 hours versus 14 hours. That might be his freedom of choice. So how do I get him to the point of that freedom of choice where I say I'm no longer watching? That has to be done by certain levels. I can't sit and speak to him. So I'm kind of no get because I wrote a phone in seven in school. But what I see with the guys, when they have the phone, I'm not saying that the phone is the solution, but the phone will get him to that place where he now has an option to get to that next level of freedom of choice because I have to get him there somehow.
Okay, so there's an incredible omek in your question, and I want to show you a complete switch of thinking about things. Okay, your whole tfisa sachayim is, the problem is the action. And now we knock it down. It's 14, 10, 8, 7, 6, right? And the solution is he's not doing it. My tfisa is, I don't care what he's doing, I care why he's doing it. Because if he's doing it from a place of, he is in a space where he thinks the only way to get what he's satisfied is from shmutz, then if he does it for 1 minute, it's a problem. And if we switch him to understand what he really wants in the world, and we make him a Baal Boicher, right? And then he chooses on his own not to do it. And then he has alidus and yeridos in that development. And there's a whole sugi we're going to learn over here in the next few days what that is. That's an accomplishment. It doesn't make a difference if he falls and watches 16 hours and he picks himself up and a few days doesn't watch because he's in a process. The process of the growth is the point. The midos that he's kohen is the point, not the action. The truth is that kol haTorah kula, we know it's not about action. Rav Chaim Vital says in Shari Kedusha, that the whole point of Torah is tikkun amidos. That a person who's midos and metukanos, the Torah is easy. And the person who doesn't have midos metukanos can't do the Torah. So that means all of the avodah is in the midos. So to discuss whether or not he's watching porn and how much he's watching porn misses the point, in my opinion. The point is the change in the human being to be connected more to his tzelem Elohim, to his pnimis ritzonos, and to know what is out there which doesn't satisfy him, and the koach to choose between the two of them. And there's another whole pond of, like you're speaking about, how do you find satisfaction in the earlier years? That's the midos we develop in him. And those midos, by the way, are not only relevant to the topic of pornography, they're relevant to his entire mivneh of all the kelim ruchnim. So actually, when you're working on this, it's a prat. I don't talk to my boys about porn, because it's not the point. I talk to them about what they want in a relationship, in their neshama, in themselves, in the world, and I empower them. Then I say, hey, look at that. Is that going to help you get there or not? No. Okay. You want it? No. I'm not doing it. Oh, so what do you need nowadays in your life? Well, I need to be a valuable person. I need to be successful. Okay, so let's get that. And then we work on that, and the porn goes away. Because it's not the point. Which is why no one really wants to spend time talking about these topics, right? Who wants to know about it? You don't have to.
What you're trying to say is you divert them?
Not divert them, you actually discuss the point. The porn is a diversion. All the mitos, all the nephilos, and anything to do with pagama bris is not the point. It's just an escape, or it's just a fake version of what he thinks he's going to get. So instead of talking about golus, let's talk about geula. Instead of talking about the ra, let's talk about where he wants to go. And when you mechazik the toe, the ra falls away. And I'm not talking about theory. I've been doing this for years. Years. There's an entire different approach, which is being now very strong at all about yeshivas, which is becoming, which is completely focused on negativity, which is basically the 12-step program, which is basically, the problem is he's addicted. The problem is how many hours. And then if we cut it down a little bit, we have atzlacha, a 40-day fast, we have atzlacha, but there's no growth. It's all about, are you doing it or not doing it?
Back in the day, we were saying, it's the 4 brick rules, you can't. Today we're saying, doing it a different way, meaning give them love, give them good, and you forget about the rock. That's
Not give them. Teach them. Teach them what they're looking for. And it's not a head thing.
what about when the
Take away their why, put our why, and then everything else fades away.
Right? And you have powerful, strong people.
What about the rock? What do we do about the rock?
Nothing wrong.
Who cares?
It goes away.
Who cares? It's not, they don't care about it.
Taking away their
What he's saying, the kids are.
You're going deeper in their why.
It just explain how you get that. No, I mean,
I beg to differ.
what he's saying is that he's just explaining it in the Omek, because we see. No, we try again.
What?
You're not saying that there shouldn't be food, you're just saying that the avoid is.
We feed, a lot of times, we feed into their addiction.
If I was a karate expert, okay, I wouldn't walk in Harlem just because I can beat them up. Because why? So why in the world should I put myself in a situation where we're going to have to, all this inner pneumius work, I figured that already, lows up, you throw it out the window and then put the filter on. But you're going to have times where you're going to have to walk through Harlem. And when the big Schwarzer comes and wants to kill you, you're going to have to fight back, right? And you have to teach a boy karate. Otherwise he's going to be dead.
Are you saying the same thing about drugs? It's not about the
Right.
fact that he's doing drugs.
Right. Drugs is the same thing. They made a whole world of addiction and they ignored the topic. What does this boy want? Why is he on drugs? There's a reason. And not only there's a reason, something that's actually positive.
So can we do a walkthrough demonstration of how you or us or we're meant to deal with these questions, right? So let's say I'm the butler, right? I'm saying that I mean, why would I even bring it up to you in the first place? Why would I even tell you that I watch porn?
Okay, so that's very, very step number one. Why would a boy come to his Rebbe about his problems? Number one, because the Rebbe is a person who cares and he doesn't judge. If your boy thinks that you're going to say he's bad and you're going to throw hate at him, then he's never going to come to you. He has to know, number one, that this is completely normal. And not only is it normal, it's actually bilti efshari. It's impossible for him not to fall. Impossible. Do you know how many boys have come to me and told me at 8 years old they were exposed to this?
8?
8.
Wow.
4 years old, someone told me.
The average of the world is 13.
A 13-year-old. What? Tell me one 13-year-old. One. Have you ever met one 13-year-old who had the kalim, pneumium to make a decision? No, I'm not going to watch this. It doesn't exist. Which means we have to understand a very deep thing, which needs Oymik to explain it. Hashem put us in a situation where it's mukhrach for a person to start off in chet. Mukhrach. There's no choice.
So let's say.
So now you ask the question.
Relationship with you, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not willing necessarily to go into my inner dark side that I have with you right now. I don't want to.
You hear those words? The reason why he's not willing to go through is because you've decided that it's a dark side. He's a beautiful little boy. He's a Tzelem Elohim.
Talmud knows he has a dark side.
If you teach him, and it's all the siach that's going on in the world right now, is the internet is bad, it's destroying your neshama, and you're averis chamuris, and you're making shadim, and believe me, he's not going to talk to you. If you say every boy is beautiful,
But every boy knows it's dark. Every boy.
but he's not dark, and he has a problem, and he wants you to help him. Why not? Dad, you decided if he's dark. What did he do wrong?
So did he.
No, he didn't.
Every boy knows he's doing something wrong when he does that.
So what? You never did anything wrong in your life?
Dark side to him.
You never did anything wrong in your life?
What?
If you were going to business, okay, and you made a bad business deal,
Yeah.
would you have a problem going to a business advisor and saying, "Listen, Habibi, I lost money. Can you make me not lose money now?" Would you have a problem with that?
That's how embarrassing it was. Who's the guy? Which the guy knows you and sees it's a random guy that never.
Right. And what would the business guy say?
If your friend, you wouldn't.
If the business guy is the guy he lost his shirt for the first 5 years of his life, and then he made millions, you'd say, "Listen, you also had tough times. Can you please tell me how to get out of them?" You'd be fine, right? So if we're honest with a Talmidim, and maybe it's even a personal honesty, like, yeah, this is totally, it's a real challenge.
No, but what, Rabbi,
And it's totally fine that you're challenged. Then why in the world shouldn't he talk to you? My experience is they're waiting to talk to you. Waiting. You want to know why? Because they're in tremendous pain. It's not fun to have this Yetzer Hara. It's not fun to all the things they're doing. Somebody, Hatzileni. Somebody teach me something. I don't understand what's going on even. People open up to me.
What's going on? So I don't understand what's going on. So they for sure don't understand what's going on.
I think in my experiences is that Bachram have an easier time talking with the Rebbe. I mean, maybe I'm not the greatest Rebbe, but they have an easier time talking, let's say, with me about the experiences they have physically with girls than what they do privately.
Could be.
With porn.
Could be. But again, we don't want them to be, you're not a priest. You don't have to come and tell you all their avoinus and all of the, who cares? Right?
No, they just offer the information.
And I'll tell you how it really starts. And this is the main point. We, as a chinuch system, do not talk about these topics. Right? Why? Midas atznius. We didn't talk about these things. So fine. Then what's going to happen? The kid's not going to be with us. But if we start teaching the midos, well, I had a whole conversation with this room over here about the midos of marriage. Right? Does anybody feel like it wasn't holy? Anybody feel like it was a yerida and your madrega? It's actually the opposite. You had a deeper understanding of what Hashem is, what you are, because we taught the panemius of these things, right? If we started teaching the panemius midos of marriage, the most beautiful midos there are in the world, we start off the conversation like this, believe me, the next thing they'll tell you is, wait a minute, but I didn't see that on Netflix. If we open up the topic from a tzara tov, they'll be telling me, what's going on?
Okay, so let's go through this, right? Okay. Rabbi, I have an addiction with the pornography, right? Am I looking for help? I don't know.
He doesn't want necessarily start there, right? He wants to come and say, Rabbi, I have addiction to the porn. You're already assuming a lot that he trusts you a tremendous amount. Right. The first thing is, as a kehila, as a school, it has to be very clear that we have a very difficult nisayon nowadays. We have things that are wrecking our lives. And there's another way to live which is so much better. Let me teach you about this way to live. And then you start talking about it. Okay. And then he's opened up and say, okay, but what do I do? I'm not getting that chinuch. I'm getting stuck in these things. Help me.
So then you ask him, well, what are you looking for when you are what are you trying to get out of it?
Okay,
that's what you ask, no?
Basically, there's two shlavim, and if you don't do the first one b'shleimus, you're not going to get anywhere. Okay. The first one is chinuch, teaching. We have to teach them that they're musagim. You don't assume anything what the boys know. A boy came and told me that he thought it was normal. He bit a woman's ear. Okay? That's what we're holding. We're talking about they don't know anything normal. So you first have to teach them basic how a loving relationship between a husband and a wife, and the deeper you have it yourself, the more inspired they will be. Then you can start talking about them and open up the thing with them. So tell me something. What did you think about this before I spoke? Like the Ramban says. And what did you learn from this conversation? What did you think before? What do you think after? Then there'll be a siach. The siach will be about midos. What's right and what's wrong. And you can even have a siach. You'll see it even in things that are dvarim in kedusha. For example, the topic of Shmir Sinai. Do you know how easily a topic of Shmir Sinai can become making a woman into an object? It's exactly the same midos. If your person walks around and believes, I can't look at a woman because if I look at a woman, I'm going to be turned on. And she has to now, it's her problem. She has to dress a certain way because I have issues. So all you have done is said, I am a person whose my taiva is completely shalit on me. She's not a human being and she's always a sexual object. It's exactly the same midos as the porn. It's just dressed up in a frock. So you can have all kinds of conversations about midos. What is the topic of tznius? What is the topic of not tznius? It's all midos. How should you treat your woman? Well, there's a whole topic of which is a very deep topic, about why is it that a man actually wants to be kovish a woman? What is that? You know, the Torah says to be kovish a woman. Well, kovish a woman? You know what they do? You don't even want to hear what they do to be kovish a woman. No dvarim naroim. So what does it mean when we're talking about it? You're learning Torah b'chlal. You're talking about midos tovos and midos ros. You can have an entire conversation about the most beautiful things in the world with your Talmidim, and they will start realizing the things that I'm watching is actually telling me things that are bad. And I thought it was good. You have to understand that when a person sees something that's bad, and they feel an inner pull to it, it teaches them that they want bad. So to reveal to them, let them talk, let them understand what they're really looking for. And then do a birur, what's called in the Svarim, it's called birur haratzon. wait a minute, I thought I wanted that, but now I say I want that. Oh, you know what? I don't really want that. I want something which is deeper than that. This is an entire process that you have to have that before you have anything else. Chinuch, learning what you really want and what the world offers is it, and how does it, and the siman is, how does it make you feel afterwards? Because if long term you feel like garbage, there's something wrong with that. If a person has midos tovos, they'll long term feel amazing. They'll have pleasure and they'll have simcha. Simcha is because of value, and pleasure is because you're receiving a good relationship. So it's always a siman. If they feel pleasure and happiness in their life, it's a siman of midos or tovos. And if not, there's something wrong. What's up in your midos? That's an entire system of chinuch that when I teach people, let's say I do a shir called Ora Bris, which I use ois of chaburas of bachrim on my own from all kinds of yeshivas. So when I teach this, I teach them an hour and a half, just this topic, what they're looking for. And in the midos, you have to understand, to get a boy to learn how to listen to himself is an entire miksoya. I mean, how many adults know how to listen to themselves, right? To listen is how many people have gone to a big Talmud Chacham, and you sit down, you say 5 words, and he already tells you what to do. What do you want to do? Walk out. How many times I go to Megol, but you sit down, he's sitting there quiet, and you talk, and you talk, and you talk, and he listens, and he says, okay, you say like this, what do you think about this? And he helps you process yourself. To be able to listen to somebody is an incredible gift to them, and to be able to listen to yourself is the beginning, the shorish of all avodah pnimius. If you can't listen to your own self, you won't know anything about yourself.
What does it mean to listen to yourself?
It means, like I said, you sit down and you say, okay, like I did in this demonstration in this room. What are you? There's a woman in the world. You want her. You have a taiva. What are you looking for? And you listen to your insides, and they tell you all kinds of things. And at the end of the day, you're going to hear all kinds of things from your neshama. And you'll have musagim. It's all midos. And then you'll wonder, wait a minute, if this is what I want, so there's a lot of options in the world. Will this option give me what I want? And then you can start discussing, what are the options in the world? And they'll tell you, last night I watched porn. Okay, why did you watch porn? Well, I wanted to be a giver. I wanted to be a...
That's not what they're saying. No, they want to be a giver. No, they're saying...
They won't say that.
They're saying, I need that feeling. I need that feeling to...
That's before you teach them. But after you teach them to listen inside, they will know.
You can ask them also to be medama themselves in the situation. Most of the time, they're pretending that they're the guy. That's what they always tell. They're always pretending that they're in the video is them. Every kid in the yeshiva is them.
Yeah, it's like...
Every kid in yeshiva has told me that they're pretending that they're the guy.
I'll explain it to you on a scientific level. They did a brain scan on a monkey eating peanuts. Okay, and whatever went up on the brain scan, blah, 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 that's what showed he ate the peanuts. Then they gave a different monkey the same peanuts, and when he watched that monkey eating peanuts, it had the same reaction in his brain. Which means if you experience something visually, you can have the same experience as Kilo you're experiencing. That's why people like to watch movies, the hero in the movie, all the adrenaline is me, right? So that's what he's saying, that in order to experience something, you put yourself in the picture, and then you experience it better. But it doesn't make a difference.
Well, it's the same thing. If you're hungry and you see someone eating...
Right. Whatever kli you use, the main...
Hungry. You don't feel full.
You start salivating.
Right, the desire's there, not the satisfaction. Exactly what happens with porn, is that you want something, and you don't feel satisfied, because you didn't get it. But the point is, the main point that I want to bring to you is, you have to teach people, like you said, they think that the whole topic is a physical act. All they're looking for is a release. That's what they think.
That's what they say.
That's superficial.
Right.
If you let them listen to themselves, they will tell you they're looking for something else. And it's just the same way if you would do it for yourself. If you'd sit down and think about it yourselves, what do I really want? Do I really want a release? And you won't be happy. So what do I really want? And you'll know. Why can't they do the same thing? I can do this for the 13-year-old. It's not complicated. It's just you have to believe in a person that they have the ability to know themselves. Once you get them in touch with themselves and you help them understand the depth of what that means, because they might tell you words that are very, very simplistic. When I teach them, I take this little gari and they tell me they want to give, and I explain it to them, and it's like explosive. When I finish my first year, the bachar are like this, because they feel validated. It's like, wow, that's me? I'm a shtick God. They feel it. Yeah, I want that. I want to be strong. I want her to look at me and say, you're such an amazing guy. You're so powerful. And I want to do that. And that koach hatayva is the best way to do it. They realize that on their own. Then there's a whole process. Okay, I got this clear for 5 minutes. Now there are all kinds of pituyim. Well, let's go find out if it's there. Well, they have all kinds of experiences. You don't have to have them do it again. So all the experiences they did you get it over there? Well, what did you get over there? And they'll begin to realize not only didn't they get that, they get the opposite. And they begin to realize, that's why I feel so bad. Because everything I wanted, I'm getting the opposite, and I'm actually becoming the person I hate. It's a process. It's not something that happens overnight. This is way before you talk about when they're having michsholim. We're not talking about the michshol now. We're not trying to stop them from porn. We're trying to teach them. Teach them midos. Get in touch with what they want. They will make decisions later, but it's not my goal.
What about the bacher who's very, very excited and brags about how many girls he's been with, and you talk to him about having a relationship, it's like the furthest thing in his mind to ever want to have a relationship with a girl. He just wants to play around with as many girls as he could.
Right.
And he loves bragging about it to everybody.
Why?
He's excited, he's happy.
Why?
In his mind, he's very, very, very happy.
Why?
Well,
because society has taught him, all the chinuch, that's the best, most successful dude in the world.
That's right, that's how he feels.
No, that's what he's taught.
Right.
Now get him in touch with himself. Tell me something. You did the body count. You have 16. Tell me, how do you feel? How do you feel? What do you think he's going to answer? No. Go find out. Okay. You know what's really amazing? You know what's amazing? Is that Hashem is really emes. And the Torah is really emes. And what he said is mavis is really mavis. And what he said is chaim is really chaim. And you can actually know that. Why? Because you can feel it. And that's the most important thing we can teach our bacher, which is relevant to kol Torah kula. That the truth is emes is nikeres. And you can actually connect to things and know, Ratzon Hashem makes my life good. Averas makes my life terrible. And he loves me. And he just wants to tell me I have an amazing life. I'm not losing anything by not sleeping with 16 girls. I'm only gaining. And when he gets to that place, number one, he has power. Number two, you know what he feels like? Toda la'el. Yesh li Torah.
And the Kudah, saying, the Kudah is such a guy, the fact that he has to tell everybody else about such things shows that he has no self-worth, and he doesn't actually think he's anything. If nobody would know about it, he wouldn't really want to tell everybody. So he can definitely.
Yeah, a lot of it's the bragging rights that he has.
Yeah. That's the siman. It's a siman, it's chitzoni.
Right.
Something you really feel good about.
Right into what he's saying also is because you see that they do the craziest things, but that teva, everybody should be embarrassed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't get it on the video and they don't send it out to the whole entire community, it's like but now they got on video and they're able to do it. That's the sexual action that we can't deal with. You don't understand, like, what are you doing?
But if you have a good thing he did, right, and he feels proud of it, he doesn't necessarily need to tell everybody about it. He's like, who cares? I feel good. It's good. That's a siman of tov ra.
That's because that's the natural way it's right.
Okay, so I feel like a little ayefus hakelim. Am I right? We need to take a little break. Okay, so
maybe a sikum before break. Maybe a little.
I'm going to do a sikum. Okay. What we covered over here, we covered a lot of things, and it's deep things, so it might take a few days to understand. B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to be meeting tomorrow and on Yom Rishon, and I hope to give you over a different tfisa and a mahalach and a shorish that is not meant for, it's meant to be tzedel aderech. You have a whole mahalach in front of you teaching these boys, and it's meant to give you kelim that you can use your expertise as malamdim, as mechanchim, to teach the boys. But the basic point that I want to bring out, number one, is that we have a very big chinuch problem. Our boys are being taught bad midos. That's the main problem. Number two, the reason why this is happening is in order for us to have good midos. It pushes us to have the most possibility. This dar has the possibility to have the most refined midos of ahava that ever was. because the only way that we're going to be successful about this is for a person to become more pnimi, understand what he's really looking for, and have excellence in it, to the point at which I'm not willing anything less. If it's not loving and giving, I don't want it. And that's the power he's going to be able to kovish his yetzer. And the methodology to do this is to teach people to be self-aware. Self-aware means to know what's going on in myself, which is the shorish of all avodas Hashem. If you're not aware, you don't know how to listen to your neshama, the most important kli that you have to be kovish to Hashem, you don't have. You have to be aware, listen to your neshama, how your neshama works, what does it want. And once you give time and place for a person to live their neshama, you can give Torah to that boy. You can explain more to him. You can make this little seedling of neshama grow into a tree by explaining oimik to him and getting more powerful. And then you can have him look at the world around him, which has been given to him, and he can choose. He can start identifying what's tov, what's ra, what is good midos, what is bad midos. And when he identifies, that's the first moment that he has bechira. Until then, he had no bechira. And then he can choose. That's shlav aleph. It's not a full solution. We're going to have to talk about the next shlav. But that's what I was trying to give over today. So what I'd like to, I'm happy to continue fielding questions. So I'm happy to continue on the side. I think everyone needs a break. We have another presentation, no? Right, so let's give a little break before you start. And then if anyone wants to continue talking privately, I'm open.
Important announcement.